Okay, good morning. Welcome, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order and start with asking whether I have a motion to approve this morning's agenda.
I move to approve the agenda for our March 13th, 2025 meeting of the Teton County Library Board.
Thank you so much, Mary Lee. Do I have a second? I will second. Any additions, discussion? Changes to the agenda? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Moving on to approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion on that.
Great.
I move to approve the minutes of the February 19, 2025 special meeting.
Thank you, Mary Lee. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second.
Awesome. Any changes to the minutes? Any typos? Anything anybody wants to say? All right. Hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
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 All right, none opposed. Thank you. Doesn't look like we have any correspondence
Nope,
and no members of the public.
nope.
All right, we are.
Eric is a member of the public.
Eric, hi, I don't know you, Eric. Hi.
Eric Kimball.
Oh, great. And you'll be talking to us about
The
the next thing on the agenda.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, welcome. I think we'll just turn it over to you then.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about the charging stations.
Excellent.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
so I'm Eric Kimball. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for Teton County, and I'm helping execute the DOT CFI grant that we were awarded. So I just had an update for you, and then we have a next step for the board to continue with the grant. So should I just go through my?
Sure.
Okay, and I did send my notes just now, like 15 minutes ago to Kip and Stella. So if you'd like written version of this, I have that to provide for
I
record.
did put a bit of detail in my monthly
perfect.
report to the board, so they
Excellent.
should know about what you're gonna say.
Okay, so the town did, the town being the main grant recipient, did sign and execute the grant agreement on January 18th. So it was signed and executed before the new administration came in. And we've been advised by our Federal Highway Administration contact, who's helping us on the federal side, to continue with our grant. They said that it's still being executed, is not being held up because of where it was. So what we need to do on our side is continue for all the award recipients, it's continue to progress as normal, because the federal government has been shutting down grants when people have been waiting, saying that then we're in breach of contract. So the plan is for us to all continue going. We have, in order to apply for reimbursement, we have some pre-work going on with Yellowstone, Teton Clean Cities, and a few other contractors that are very small amounts that we are currently, or the town is currently submitting for reimbursement on from the federal government as part of the grant. And that'll be a good stamp to make sure that we are going to be getting reimbursed before we even get to the point of breaking ground on any of the actual sites throughout the grant application. So we're just continuing as if nothing had changed, which is kind of a little nerve-wracking. So we had the subaward agreement the town did send out earlier this week, and I did forward that on to Kip. And we'd had it reviewed by Keith Gingery, the county civil attorney, and he said, yes, it's fine for us to sign. So that is, I think, the thing that would need to be approved to move forward with. I'm not sure. I mean, that's your internal process. So
Are we signees on there anywhere?
because the library is considered its own subaward agreement recipient, because like the county, so there's three tent poles to the county. You're your own subaward agreement, and then the county has an agreement, a separate agreement for more sites that is then split into two parts, one being Stilson Transit Center, and then the other being just at county facilities.
Okay.
So those two sites are also happening. I'm kind of helping with all three. One other part that for now, direct pay rebates, which is was not included in the original scope of the grant, but we've set up the county to apply for direct pay rebates or elected pay, can go with both terms from the IRS. Those are things like solar credits, EV charging credits, clean vehicle credits. I think like you could get a vehicle credit for your car if you purchased it yourself. You could also get a credit for installing solar installations or installing EV installations. Because of the way the census tract is, the library is considered rural, like half of Jackson. Basically, everything west of Flat Creek is considered rural, based on the census. So while that is not completely accurate from a real world standpoint, it does allow us to apply for a 30% rebate on the cost of the charger installation project. I can't guarantee that that won't be rescinded by Congress between now and when we complete the chargers. But it does, is for us to try to have the chargers in this next fiscal year of 2026, because we apply for it based on our fiscal year. So I will attempt to achieve those rebates. Would be great, because then we could get up to 30%, but that caps out at our match, which is only 20%. So it would match, potentially we can get our entire match back. I'd say it's a coin flip based on whether or not it goes away. There's starting to be pressure in Congress to keep those credits from some Republican members, because a lot of the credits apply to new jobs in districts in the South, is the best way to describe it. So there's a good chance that we can try to get that. And as long as that's still on the table, I will continue to pursue it. If it goes away, I can give you an update on that, but that would just kind of put us back to where we originally were, which is the same amount. So the funding amounts I pulled this directly from the grant language, is that for the library is $252,000. So $201,000 of federal funding and then a $50,000 match. And in the original grant, it said there would be 2 level 2 chargers and 2 DC fast chargers. We are allowed to play with that because the award stipulates that there have to be a minimum of 4 charging ports at a location. So two level 2 chargers, and we could basically just reconfigure from there, or 2 or 4 ports for DC fast chargers, but 4 total ports, and we can go up to as many as we like, or as but we have to have that minimum of that 4. We don't have to stick with that amount from the original grant. It's written in a way that we have some flexibility, which is great. And it has the breakdown of different costs for this is again from 2023, so these costs are a little different, and to bring 3-phase power and a transformer to the charger locations as part of that as well. Yes, of course.
Just to explain the $50,000, $25,000 is from the library's funds, and $25,000 is from the foundation and friends.
So the next steps for the grant are we just need to sign and return the subaward agreement to the town of Jackson. And then we have to begin a NEPA process, environmental study on the site, which should be pretty easy because it's a parking lot already. It's not a wetland or anything. Determine the energy needs with Lower Valley Energy and install if we need a new transformer, if they just need to put in a new service on the existing transformer, and get that set up. And then do 2 RFPs, one for the electrical work and charger installation, the physical installation, and then an RFP for the chargers themselves. What I would like to do is do a joint RFP for all the county facilities, for the library and for the, so that we can just get the same kind of charger everywhere. And then also possibly also the town will join in on that as well, because there's parks and recreation sites that are technically under town jurisdiction that are also going to be part of this installation. So ideally, if we have the same charger everywhere, it'll be much easier to manage the accounts, which is something that I'll be probably doing with, of course, like Rick would be on, and for the library, Rick would be an administrator on that account too, for making sure that the chargers keep working and all that, scheduling maintenance and stuff.
Can we assume that the location will be closest to the building?
So right now, we've actually kind of looking at was actually going along the back wall along the grove behind, like past the dumpsters, because that looked like it was an easier install. The transformer is right there on the corner of like where the building side and then that back walls, and since it wouldn't be involving tearing up concrete potentially, but those are the 2 basic sites, one or the other, coming off of that transformer.
I have a question. Are you done, Stan? Can I ask my question?
Go ahead.
I didn't want to finish. So what's the thing with chargers now? Like, do Teslas, are they all, like, can every electric car now use these chargers? Or is there some, or are there, if you have a Tesla, do you have to go to Whole Foods or
Right.
how does that work?
It's a rapidly evolving space. Tesla chargers, like the ones at Whole Foods, you have to be a Tesla.
Yeah.
They're opening up those in certain locations and eventually that'll probably be open to other public entities or other types of vehicles. But right now it's just Teslas. In the other direction, anyone can use them. It's a matter of which port you have. For level 2 chargers, like I have an electric car and in my car I have an adapter so I can plug into a Tesla, like home or hotel charger, no
Okay.
problem. So, and most Tesla owners have that same adapter. Most vehicles are actually moving to they used to call it the Tesla standard, now it's the NACS, North American Charging Standard plug, which is what Teslas use, and pretty much everyone is moving in that direction. So in the next few years, pretty much every charger will have that. So as I'm not exactly sure what the new chargers look like. The other type of charger that most cars have is called a CCS charger. And, but since people are moving away from that, I'm not sure what the different charger companies are going to offer in part of the RFP. Are they going to offer a swappable head? Are they going to offer that we get one kind and then switch over? Are they going to offer some kind of an adapter that's connected to the charger? Some chargers have like you put the thing in and it like attaches the correct head based on which type of vehicle you have. So there's some ambiguity there, but in terms of like who can charge, anyone can charge, no matter what type of vehicle. That's part of the grant. Actually, it has to be open to every kind of vehicle, and it also has to be open to, like, we don't have to necessarily provide both types of chargers, but they have to be able to charge, and then it has to be an open source, not open source isn't the right word, an open encryption payment platform. Like you can't be stuck with ChargePoint, or you can't be stuck with Tesla. You have to be able to pay with a credit card, not download an app. So
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
And do you know where we stand on whether the library or town or counties allowing free charging? Are we charging?
And since you're your own subaward, you can decide whatever you like. But what the county is leaning towards, and possibly the town as well, the town's currently having this discussion of whether to start charging on their existing ports or not, is that the Charlotte Fry and I have been discussing charging a small amount, like 10 cents a kilowatt hour, basically doing a study of what is the ongoing cost of maintenance and what is the combined with the cost of the kilowatt hour charge that we'd be paying. But you could decide to make them free if you'd like. You could also, another thought that has been going on is maybe keeping the level 2 chargers free, but then the level 3 chargers cost money, because the level 3 chargers are, from an expense standpoint, they cost a lot more to install, they a lot more to upkeep, and they use a heck of a lot more energy. Whereas the level 2, if you used a level 2, like let's say the one at Town Hall, all day for 24 hours straight, you're getting 6 kilowatts an hour. I'm just doing back of the napkin calculations here. So that's 160 kilowatts a day. And so that's about $8 or $9 if someone was charging for 24 hours straight on one of those chargers. So it's not that big of a cost. And so it tends to make sense using what I call the hospital model, because the hospital did install their own charger for their staff and for obviously patients. And they are doing that. They're charging, I think last I checked, 10 cents a kilowatt hour, which is substantially less than gas. That relates to about, on an average vehicle, about 80 cents for about 25 mile per gallon vehicle.
Thank you.
So I guess I have one other question following yours. So if the library decided to charge, that would come to the library, that revenue.
I think we could structure it that way. But Kip, you would know better than I would of how the counties.
Yes, we would receive that revenue and then it would probably offset our electric charges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's my initial thought, but I'd have
I
to
know
see
we
how
can-
others are doing it before I could say.
I know that we can, as we collect that revenue, we can, have it set to go into different accounts. It's just
Yeah.
more of a matter of the governmental bureaucracy, how that works.
Yeah. So then just remind me, this was probably in Kim's report, but what's the total grant expenditure?
So $252,000.
Okay.
And 50,000 is the match and 201,000 is the federal amount.
And what's the life expectancy of a charger?
A lot of them are about 10 years. It varies a little bit for them. That's getting better as that space is developing and things are getting a little more standardized than they were several years ago. So that even in the last year has evolved quite a bit. So especially the level 2 chargers. Like I said, the 2 chargers are really hands off. You know, they can break, but they're usually a pretty easy fix. Like usually it's a computer issue and you just reboot them. A lot of problems that you'll see with level 2 chargers are more to do with the connectivity. For example, there's a level 2 charger in Du Bois, and it works through cellular power or cellular service, and cellular service in Du Bois is terrible. And so the owner of that charger has had to like install like a different, like a Verizon Wi-Fi hotspot or an AT&T to like connect to it, and then it's just all, but to get it to work. But if you have, you know, if you have good connectivity, and then for the payment service system, then it's not a big deal. And some of the new chargers also, and this will play out in the RFPs, but just use Blink charger as an example, have offline capabilities where they can collect payments a certain amount of time offline, which as an EV owner, it can be a real pain when you don't have, that's the biggest problem with chargers at points, is that you can't connect because of various reasons. That has more to do with connecting them to each other.
I had to spend the night in Du Bois one time because we couldn't get over to Liberty Pass.
Do you have an electric as well?
No, I was with a friend.
Okay, yeah.
There were 4 of us. But my other question is, should we be charging enough for use of the chargers that we can replace them?
Yes, and then that's the idea with the say 10 cents. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I don't know where that'll fall once we look at electricity costs and whatnot, but the idea is to pay for the ongoing maintenance and of the program, so it becomes self-sustaining. But then not to make money of the consumers.
Unrelated to this grant, but could you just let the board know about the charger that is going to go to
Oh,
Alton?
sure, yes. So we received a small grant from Yellowstone Teton Clean Cities where they, or I don't know if it's a grant, 'cause it's not monetary, but they gave us 2 level 2 chargers, not smart ones that you can charge money for, but just like an outdoor rated one that like you could put at your house. And one of those Rick is taking over to the Alta Library. Because he thinks that there's electricity there and he's gonna have the electrician look at it to install in the parking lot there.
So this is just a question out of curiosity, but so as soon as the chargers are installed, like do all electric car owners then see those on their like planning inside their car?
A lot of them, yes. So a lot of electric car, there's several different forums, and one is PlugShare is probably the main like non-branded one that you can get. And we would put it on PlugShare and we would put it on there's a couple others, and we put them on there basically once we are getting ready to install them. And then we would announce them as open, once they're open, and then they'll show up on those, and those then connect back to like a lot of the companies. I can't speak for every vehicle, but a lot of the companies have like a part of their mapping program, have open source kind of, here's a charger.
So is this happening all over Wyoming? Like now when we travel around Wyoming, if you're in an electric car,
Mhm.
you can go to libraries or Main Street or other communities putting in chargers?
Wyoming's tough. There's, you know, a lot of, both from the federal government standpoint, like even taking away the administrations, there's a grant, I think it's NEVI is the program that is supposed to set up all highways all over the country.
Yeah.
And Wyoming's tough because it has to be 50 miles apart and within 1 mile of the highway. And so with Biden administration, they were going back and forth, trying to get some exceptions to that. And they're slowly making progress, but now NEVI funding is frozen, but it may come back just in a different way. I'm hopeful for. But it will allow them to like not have that. And so, but with that being said, there are a lot of private entities that are setting up charging stations around the state. Electrify America is setting them up at Walmart's and Smith's or Kroger locations near the highway. Pilot / Flying J has a national program where they've been installing some. And they have plans to install them in Rock Springs, I believe, but there's also an Electrify America there. There's a few Tesla chargers there. There's a small company, I think it's called Black Bear, that is run by a man named Patrick, and who lives in Riverton. He's been installing level 2s mostly, all throughout communities, just trying on his own, like, offering to install them at hotels and such, and then paying for it, but then also keeping the cost. And then there's a few at some dealerships. So it's mostly not municipal. Jackson's the only community that I know of in in Wyoming that has like a municipal thing. Some museums have put them in. And then some other private companies, like Otter Space being the main one I can think of. They brand with different EV companies, but they're putting in level 3 chargers. They put one in at the History Museum in Du Bois. They put one in Pinedale that actually might be connected with the city of Pinedale. So it is happening just slowly. Like you notice, like when you go from state to
Very.
but it's very different. Yes. Yeah, very,
It's
yes.
very slowly. My kids have a Tesla and they still can't drive it from Salt Lake City up to here.
The Idaho part has gotten a lot better recently. There's now a level 3 in McCammon, Pocatello, Idaho Falls. There's one in Afton. Sorry, I was kind of rambling. In Evanston.
One,
So there's a few gaps.
But there's one in Driggs. I.
Yeah, Driggs has- Yep. So
Almost got stuck there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they have a charger.
Great.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
yeah, so just inundated you all with a
Exciting.
lot of information.
Yeah, and then was there another, maybe this is a different report, but was there something about a check out a truck?
Oh, that was
that was,
add on to the end.
This is not,
It is part of
Eric.
the Yellowstone.
oh, it is.
Teton Clean Cities.
Is there anything we need to know about that? That is,
It was just information that we're
but
going
that
to,
is happening.
yes.
And it's like a 2-year program or something?
3-year program.
Yeah.
So we're gonna house their F-150.
I didn't know that had been confirmed, so that's great.
That's great. So
Yes,
that'll be like part of the library of things. Like you can check out this
Well,
EV truck?
no,
No.
we have, we're housing it and
big
Oh,
thing.
signage
I see.
and being the visibleness of it, because the last one they had was down at the LVE office, and it's not very visible to anyone.
So people will have to contact, is it Lower Valley or who is?
I guess Yellowstone, Teton.
Everything will go through them. They'll have the key, like basically the library is not doing any of the scheduling or any of that sort
Got
of
it.
process. It's just, we're just literally giving us space to house the vehicle. So, yeah.
Oh, if I may jump back into the grant really
Yeah.
quick, that made me think. It's also up to the library to maybe set up. These chargers will allow us to set up, if we wanted to have staff have free charging, for example, or if we have fleet charging, so we can do that separately from public, like with the same charger. So we can have, we can decide what we'd like for any kind of benefit or not.
This is not related, this is a personal question, because I have an EV and we've been having trouble at some of the chargers in town.
Mhm.
Is this plug share the same as ChargePoint or a better thing than ChargePoint?
PlugShare is more of like a Google map that just tells you where all the different chargers are,
So
but they do have
ChargePoint
links.
is what, like either connects or doesn't.
Yes,
Okay. got it.
yeah. And the town of Jackson owns all of those, so if they are down, I think they can see if they're down, but it's good to report
Just
to
know,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or it connects and then, but it can come back and it hasn't charged.
No, I've definitely had some personal issues with certain ones.
Sorry to take over.
Because we probably need to sign our piece of that application sooner than later. I think maybe some sort of motion from the board to approve your signing of this contract.
Okay,
I will send out an email with the contract in it so that you can review it, but it's been reviewed by Keith. So it has legal approval.
all right.
So we need a motion
We just,
right now, today.
otherwise it's not gonna be until May.
I'll do my best. I might need a little help. I move that the Teton County Library approve going ahead and signing the contract for the Yellowstone Teton Clean Cities fueling infrastructure, charging and fueling infrastructure grant as soon as possible.
I second that.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Any discussion?
I don't know how I would have said it, so.
And there's
Lindsay
no,
can fix it.
there's no conflict. I don't have to recuse myself because I do have an electric vehicle.
I
Alright.
do.
And you do too. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Motion passes.
And
Ours is a hybrid.
And then I'll let you know when it's ready to sign.
Okay, awesome. Eric, thank
No,
you.
thank you all. Thank you for.
Thank
you.
this,
Eric.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's great news.
moving quickly, so I appreciate you folks also moving quickly.
Yes.
When you said it might go away if we stall.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, it looks like next on our agenda is the Wonder Lab update, and we have Callie here. So you have the floor.
Okay, so I just have these data collections. I'm just gonna pass these out, and for the people online, we can just like go through it so everyone knows what we're talking about.
Aye.
And I can also send this electronically if anybody wants it, but
Oh,
This
I'd
is
love it, Callie.
okay, yeah, I can definitely send one. This is a data set that I collected between January 9th, 2024, which is our opening day, and through January 8th, 2025. So this was just a full year, our first year in the makerspace. So if we go to the first page, just some of the info at the top that stays the same, our open studio hours, we're open 5 days a week. We alternate between afternoons, mornings, and Saturdays, kind of a little bit of both. We're currently open and staffed 18 hours a week, and we're closed Sunday and Monday. So our first page, we just have reservations. I've broken it down by all of the machines that we have. So just going through it, our Bernina, which is our home sewing machine, we had 129 reservations last year. Our Prusa is our 3D printer. We have 2 of those, and we had 99 total reservations on those. The Glowforge is our laser cutter. We had 103 reservations on those. The Brother SE 630, that's an embroidery machine. We had 63 reservations on those. There was a period of time where it was broken, and so we had to go Dido Falls and get it repaired. So that's why that number is a little bit lower than I would expect. Our Cricut is our vinyl cutter that had 19 reservations. The Brother 1034D Lock is a serger, which is a pretty specific sewing machine that had 20 reservations. And then the Singer heavy duty industrial sewing machine had 17 reservations. And so this is just data comprised of reservations input through the software where we do the study room reservations. It's all in the same. This doesn't account for walk-ins. This doesn't account for if a patron comes in and realizes they need to use a couple machines. And this does not count workshop attendees. So this is a good just kind of like slice to see what is going on in the makerspace. We had 450 reservations last year, which is very exciting. Just kind of like going through this and seeing definitely our sewing machines are getting the most use, which is really exciting. The things that people generally don't have in their homes are also getting a lot. So a lot of people don't have 3D printers and they don't have laser cutters. 3D printers are getting a little bit more prevalent, especially with the schools are using them a lot. But going down further, like the Cricut, those are really available. They're pretty cheap. They're pretty easy to get in your home. They're small. So most people have one of those. So that's just why that number is a little bit smaller. Going to the next page, I've just also.
Can I just have?
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions? You guys have at the time?
And are you teaching people how to use these things?
Yes, so generally, people come in not knowing how to use it at all. We have some information available on the website. I would say 75 to 80% of the people who come in, their first time don't know how to use the machine. So I go through teaching them how to set up. What we say is like, I can help get you set up on a machine. I can't be your like personal assistant for a project, unfortunately. But yeah, so I'm getting everyone set up and teaching them how to use these. So
And can I ask, when people use a 3D printer, is there a small fee associated? Because wouldn't there be like costs for whatever the material is that it's printing?
So currently, we are not charging for the filament use. It's pretty minimal, the use, because we do cap it at 8 hours for a print. And in our policy, it's written so that we may decide if we
Yeah.
get to a place where we're like, ooh, it would make more sense for us to be charging for this. Currently, we're not really going through the filament at like a rate that we would be charging for it.
What are, just out of curiosity, what do people print most?
I would say a lot of it are younger kids learning how to use the 3D printers, so we don't teach people how to do 3D modeling and like CAD modeling. There's a lot of information available on that through like LinkedIn Learning and Creative Bug, and there are a lot of books in the library on that, but we don't offer that yet.
Yeah.
So there is like a website, it's called printables.com, and a lot of people have made models that you can then kind of prepare for the printer. Some of the cooler things that I've seen made, there's this guy, he's working on a Settlers of Catan. Do you guys know that like board game?
Yeah.
He's 3D printing like this custom Settlers of Catan board for his girlfriend. So that was like really cute. And then a gal who works for the Park Service was printing topographic maps so she could bring those into schools and do lesson plans and stuff like that. Yeah.
Very
So there's some cool stuff.
nice. Oh, thank you.
Are you gonna be in there, this morning?
I will be in there, we're open 3 to 7 tonight, so I have to take a break, so I don't go over my hours, but I'll probably be in there. Definitely tonight or this afternoon tonight, but if you guys are interested, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I gotta find out if everything I'm doing by hand that takes months and months and months of time could be done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Easily.
It could, Mary Lee. You can do it much quicker.
So then on the next page, I just, I broke it down by month. And I can just go through it for people online. January, we had 35 reservations. February, we had 50. March, we had 27. April, we had 26. May, we had 23. June, we had 32. July, we had 29. August, we had 77. I'm like not sure what was going on. Everyone heard about Makerspace. September, we had 23. October, we had 22. November, we had 48, and December, we had 50. So that kind of makes sense to me. Off season, it's a little bit lower. It kind of mirrors the attendance at the library. And then, you know, November, December, gift season.
What would you say is like optimal? Like what would you like it to be like all the time, the use?
Currently, I am the only person staffed in there, so as many people as I can get in there where I'm able to still give them the service that they deserve. So generally, if I have like 5 people in there throughout the couple hours that we're open, if I'm able to get them set up and then kind of float around troubleshooting, that's a good number. So everyone's still, is getting the service they want and is getting the help they need, just getting the troubleshooting and everything. So, it's hard to say. I don't want to like this is what I think it should be, because I just, as long as it's getting used and everyone's able to keep up with the demand for it, and you know, the machines aren't being so overused that they need to be serviced a ton, but yeah, just as long as people are still coming.
Yeah. You're not having to turn people away though.
Generally, no. Occasionally, yes, because if people come in and they don't have a reservation, but somebody had made a reservation for 15 minutes from now, there's not really a ton you can do depending on
Got it.
on a machine. More often than not, like when we set people up with library cards, we chat about the services that we provide. Wonder Lab is one of them, and just kind of going over how to utilize that service. So a lot of people coming in already know how to go about it. So generally, we don't have to turn people away, which is nice. We go to the next page. These are just a collection of some of the workshops and classes and meetups that we've done. So everything we talked about with reservations is open studio hours, I call it. And that's when people, you know, I'm staffing the room, people can just come in and use the equipment. This is more project-based or a little more structured. And so our first class that we did, myself and our team program coordinator who has since moved, but we worked with one of these schools to do a jewelry making workshop. They had their winter mini semester. And so we just like put together a lesson plan to teach them how to use the laser cutter, had a bunch of kids come in. And we had just like this, you know, this quick little project, but we had like 10 students come. It was really, really awesome. They really enjoyed it. And a lot of them have come back since, which is what I think is a great marker of a successful program. We have done teen night in the Wonder Lab. So generally those are after hours programs. High school age students can come in. We were doing once a month teen nights. We were doing a different machine so we could kind of do a little bit more hands-on practice with those machines. And then by the end, we were doing open studio. Once we had gone over all the machines, they could just kind of come in and play with whatever they would like. We had a tote bag sewing workshop, which is what I taught. So I designed a sewing pattern, and then I had people come in. This was nice because you can learn some more things that you might not be learning just by coming into an open studio. You can learn pattern making, pattern putting together. You learn all the little things that are going into sewing that aren't necessarily just being on the sewing machine, and that just kind of improves sewing literacy. And then we have also started doing introduction to sewing machines. So this is for people who have no experience on a sewing machine. They want, you know, to have someone go step by step with them. And we have been working with Kat Russo. I don't know if any of you know her, but she is a Wonder Institute employee. She's a really wonderful sewer. And so she's been coming in once a month. We have some donated sewing machines that patrons can use. We've been capping it at 4 just so everyone again can have that kind of service that they deserve. And so, yeah, she's been doing that twice a month rather, if I said once a month. And that's been really great. That's been full with a full wait list every time she's offered it. So that's been wonderful. So we're gonna continue doing that. And then this most recent one, our crafter hours evening craft group meetup is Anna Barker, who works at the library, and I have been doing this little casual meetup for crafters. This is not an instructional session, but we invite people to come after hours, and we kind of just use the space to craft and kind of create community. I think a really important part of this room is just having the space. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot do any of my sewing projects in like my bedroom with all my roommates and everything. So, and that's something that I've heard from people is that yes, the equipment is really wonderful, but also just having this space to work is really nice. And so if we go to the next page, these are just some plans that I have for the next year, so you guys can see like what I'm kind of thinking and what I'm excited about. Based on the success of the sewing machine intro classes, I would like to be providing those for all of our equipment, and that would make it easier to have more people come in at once because it's easier to just kind of like float around and help troubleshoot than it is to do a one-on-one intro class with everyone who comes in. So if people are able to, and sometimes people learn differently. So sometimes people want like a more class-based structured environment to learn something in. So if we were able to offer those, I think we could get more people on these machines, which would be really great. In tandem with that, more project-specific workshops. I know a lot of people need to have like a project to be working on. It's kind of hard to just be like, oh, let's just kind of play around and see. That doesn't work for a lot of people. So having those more project-specific workshops gets people feeling more confident on machines. They already have that little thing that they made. They already have that win, and that's going to bring more people in my opinion. Also jumping off of that, pattern library and take and make kits. So there are a lot of really wonderful free resources. There are a lot of makers and brands who will put out free patterns for people to use. A lot of people will make free downloads for, you know, the laser cutter patterns and for the 3D printer. And that's kind of nice because again, some people might not need the class, but they might need a little bit of direction. And so by having that available again, it just gets more people in, it gets more people using the space, using our equipment, which is really wonderful. And then tutorials, currently I am working on filming and compiling a library of video tutorials to have available maybe on the website or something like that. And that's just gonna, if you know, some people like to are visual learners, some people are written learners, like all this stuff. So that and the user guides, I'm just writing user guides for everything, just so everyone has a kind of like a way that they learn best, that we can bring as many people in as possible.
And
And also,
even if you've trained, you might need that just to
Totally.
like walk you through again and again and again.
yeah, and to get that repetition. I don't know if any of you have read like a sewing machine user guide in the past like 70 years, but they're all so confusing. So
They're
like,
kind of functioning, but it's like,
it's so bizarre. So I'm trying to make it as easy as possible and as approachable as possible. You know, I learned how to do the sewing and stuff when I was pretty young, so I am lucky in that way, but I do understand it can be kind of scary to come into something like that when you're older. And you might
16.
not-
Yeah.
So just my biggest goals are just breaking down the barriers. That could be cost barriers, that could be space barriers, that could just be honestly like ego barriers of like, I can't be bad at this. So I'm like, okay, let me give you these things that are gonna make it easy and accessible and approachable. So that's what I'm planning. The last page, I just have a little personal note about the space. You can read that in your own time if you'd like. And then before I left, I just wanted to share like a couple really cool projects that people have been working on that are really exciting. So this gal who, I don't know if do you guys go to like the Mondays in May, like the food trucks in May Park? I don't know if you saw Salt Lick Popsicles when you were there, but she's this gal, she's a little like small business in town. She makes her own popsicles, they're great. But she came into the makerspace, she used the embroidery machine to make like custom shirts for her and her employees. And she used the Cricut to get like a nice sticker for her cooler and stuff. So that's really cool that we're able to kind of help like small businesses like get off the ground and stuff. There were some really, really cool projects people were working on over Christmas and like the holidays. A lot of people were, I don't know if like there was some post somewhere or something, but so many people were coming in engraving like family recipes on cutting boards, which I just thought was like so cool to see. And yeah, a lot of kids are coming in using the 3D printers. A lot of people are mending their clothes. They're making their own garments and stuff. That this gal made this beautiful dress for her graduation. I just think the most exciting thing about this space is that it's very rare that people use it once and don't come back. And so I'm in a really great position of getting to see these people kind of like grow in their creative journeys. It's really, really fun. I definitely recommend if any of you are on the fence about coming, you should come visit. It's super, super fun. There's a lot of cool stuff to do. Yeah, I think it's a great way to promote sustainability. Like a lot of people, there are these, oh my gosh, wait, one more thing, sorry. There was this gal, she was so wonderful. I think she told me she was 85 and she hadn't sewn since she was in middle school. And she had this pair of pants that she would garden. They were gardening pants. That was the only one she would wear when she was gardening. And she ripped them, and then she like wasn't able to go garden, and she was so sad about it. And she was like, I don't want to buy a new pair of pants. And she came in, and I taught her how to use the garden sheet, and we mended them, and she's back in her garden. So that was just like, oh, that felt really, really good. Yeah, people come back when they start using it. It's cool to see people like try their first little thing, and then you know, after a while, they're making their own clothes, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. And then last thing, so sorry, but Leah Schlachter and I are working together to do a Wonder Lab gallery show this summer. So we are going to open it up to all of our people who come to the Wonder Lab before, if they want to display any of the stuff that they made, any of the men's or the clothes or the stuff they printed or the stuff they made on the laser cutter, any of that stuff. And just have like a little artist event, we have a gallery show. So you'll be able to see a lot of the things that people are making. Sorry, I just monologued.
We needed this so bad.
Seriously, your enthusiasm is really
And you're
infectious,
so
so I'm really glad to hear from you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Does
Really
really have really great questions about anything?
Yeah, I wish I could clone myself. Is that
Yeah.
awesome?
Right, and just feel all those things at once. Oh gosh, me too. But okay, well, if nobody has any questions, hop in anytime. My email is on the it's on the website, of course. Yeah, just any questions you guys have anytime, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Callie.
Oh, actually, I should add that we are going to be hiring a part-time person to assist Kelly. They will be able to open open the space on Mondays, which is currently closed. Overlap with her on Saturdays, which is really busy. And then cover when she's wants to have a day off or,
So Callie's full-time
yeah,
and
Mm.
18 of her full-time hours are in the open
yeah.
makerspace. And
Yeah.
then she's doing all this other planning and writing and yeah.
Yeah.
got it. Well, that was great. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Not to say anything bad about financial, but it's maybe a little less exciting than the creator. No, no. Sorry. Let us shift to the wonderful financial reports.
Oh, boy.
Well, thank you, Lisa, and I wish I could make it more exciting than you all.
You make them wonderful.
I'm not gonna tap dance, well, giving you my information. I'm gonna skip to the end of my report. Yesterday evening, about 6 o'clock, I realized that we had not received the warrant register for February. We did receive it this morning, but I did not have an opportunity to pop that into Teams for you all, but we will go back, put that into our team site, and then also I will go back and relink it to the agenda just so that it is there and present. And I don't know if we would need to have it linked to the May agenda, perhaps actually is.
It doesn't,
Okay.
no, I mean, it's available.
Yeah.
We don't have to. It's not something the board approves or anything. so.
Right. So, so we did that, and I think that was just completely an oversight on both my part and over at the clerk's office, because typically they do send that once they've completed the round of writing of our checks, so, so that's that. Something exciting. Regarding our first interstate credit cards, we were not yet able to completely close out the accounts because we still were trying to clear up one credit card, which was James Silva's, which First Interstate had kept. Even though at some point we paid down all the finance charges, then somehow more finance charges still accrued. We finally got that cleared up. And then subsequently found out that there was now a $10 credit on that account. As of this week, we received the $10 check, so Kip was now able to completely close the First Interstate
yeah.
credit card, so,
Can you just like in one sentence remind me why it was important to close that account?
so we were running into a lot of problems with, finance charges, which per county, we're not even supposed to be paying, like late fees and finance charges. One of the problems that we had is that First Interstate would not really work with us in terms of allowing us to change the dates of our terms and our billing cycle. We did get them to change our billing cycle at one point, but they changed it to something that we didn't even ask for that actually exacerbated the problem. And we knew that at the county level that they were also looking at their credit cards. I don't think they were with First Interstate. So at some point, Kip had discussion with Mo Murphy about us possibly going with whatever bank the county decided to go to. But subsequently, we ultimately decided to go with Chase. So we're now with Chase, which is also what the Foundation and Friends use, so.
And it works better.
It works, yeah.
And they're very accommodating. So if we change our board meeting dates in July, they will allow us to adjust our billing cycle to match the board meeting dates.
So that's just a note about income. I don't really think there was anything else. I mean, all the other income is pretty much status quo. We're moving along. There was a expense showed on the expenditures and appropriations report that is not even a library account, but looking at the report, whoever entered that did immediately credit that account. So there was just a weird little blurb there. But that was only a $45 amount anyhow, so. Last month, I mentioned that we are having some interesting situations with Dex Imaging, the vendor that the library uses for our multifunction machines, whereby when we started a new contract with them in the fall, for some reason, they lumped us into the Foundation and Friends account. Dinah Peck of the Foundation and Friends had been working with them, thought that that was resolved. Then a couple of weeks ago, I received an email asking, oh, what do you want to do? What do you what's the names that should be on the account? So we're still working through that. And because of this problem, they were billing Diana Peck's work credit card for libraries amounts. So in part of the voucher totals for this month, we did reimburse or are reimbursing the Foundation and Friends. I'm hopeful that going forward, Dex will not continue to charge the Foundation and Friends account, but I can't with 100% certainty say that won't happen next month as well. So, but we're working on getting it cleaned up. And then something I just want to note, that's kind of a twofold item here. So when we purchased the van, the library van, which was thank you to the Foundation and Friends for that purchase. The town of Jackson has a vehicle maintenance shop that town vehicles and also the county fleet uses. And within that vehicle shop, there's a washing station as well as fuel stations. So occasionally we've been fueling the van at the town of Jackson site. We have an account set up with the town of Jackson. However, what we recently found is that the library has not actually been receiving those fueling bills. They've just been going directly to the county's facility account. So we did recently now. It's going to be an internal deduction, that electronic deduction that the county will be giving to the library for any fueling charges. There are some past fueling charges that we haven't paid, but it's my understanding that for fiscal 25, the county might just absorb that in their facilities budget. If we do get told that we do need to reimburse that, it's it's just a couple of $100, so it's nothing that's gonna hurt us. Also, that stated within Rick's budgeting process that he does for maintenance, he does include those charges in his overall budget. But related to that, when we found out that we hadn't been getting charged, then there was a discussion as to what account we should be having the county take this money out of. And that led me to learn that there is actually a county account 451000, and the fund name is gasoline. So when we proposed the fiscal 26 budget to you all, we did not know about that account. So I have subsequently asked Maureen Murphy if she can give us that account for fiscal 26. There's not going to be any monetary changes to the budget, but if we get that account, we'll just pull out the funding that was already allocated in our other maintenance account to fund the gasoline. That makes sense. And then future expenses, I just wanted to give you all a heads up. When Bureau Veritas did their assessments of both facilities, part of those assessments included looking at the parking lots for both locations. And so projects that we need to do is parking lot resealing and striping at both locations. Also here, some of the cement curbs need to be fixed. There's chips and so forth that need to be corrected. And I believe at Alta, there might also be something with the ADA situation, that parking spot, there might need to be some slight adjustment. So we're now at the point where Rick Smith is getting ready to start these projects. So he's hoping to start these projects in the spring of this year. And I just wanted to let you all know, because there are large budgetary amounts attached to each of these projects. However, those budgets are allocated for in our capital reserve. So we already have the funding set aside. It's just that we haven't started to utilize that yet.
So is that, will that decrease this balance of the capital reserve?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's just a sub account.
Yeah.
How much more or less? Will the I mean, just even off the top of your head.
I think the Alta is around 15,000, and then here I was trying to remember, because there's a couple layers of that. I don't want to misquote, but I do have my capital reserve fund here. Just allow me a moment. Oh, and I did capture it here. I'm sorry. That's okay, but I do remember Alta, I think, was around 15,000 possibly. One of the reasons why I'm also bringing this up now is when Eric Kimball was giving you his report, he was saying we might need to do some trenching to accommodate the EV chargers. Part of that could also play into the timing of doing the parking lot reseal and so forth here. So it's going to be, Rick's going to need to kind of manage the timeline of those situations. And that's probably pretty much it. I also mentioned in my narrative that staff are currently working on their fiscal 26 budget proposals to the Foundation and Friends.
How, could you just give me a little, like, what's the process? How does that?
So the process for the Foundation and Friends?
Yeah,
So-
so you give input to the foundation for that budget.
Sure. So we have several staff that have, if you will, regular budgets. So for example, all of our programmers, since the majority of the funding for programs comes to the Foundation and Friends, they have like certain accounts that have been set up by the Foundation and Friends. Communications, a good vast majority of what Diana Eden does is funded by the Foundation and Friends. So special program ads, special programming, advertisement, swag that we provide. So Diana Eden has certain accounts set up with the Foundation and Friends. Then I'm looking at Kip, he's got several directors initiative accounts that are set up. So there's some staff that have regular annual accounts. And then there's also the occasional project requests, such for example, when we requested funding for the library van, that wasn't a regular account that we have. So what happens is Diana Peck typically meets with those who have ongoing regular requests. There is a one-page grant funding application that staff fill out. And then those are presented to KIP. So all of the funding requests for the next fiscal year will go to KIP to ultimately approve before they get sent then to the Foundation and Friends. And then once Diana Peck receives them, and Diana, correct me if certainly if I'm saying anything wrong here, then Diana Peck brings those to the Foundation and Friends board, because then they ultimately approve what we're requesting. There is
Can I
another.
say something about the
Sure.
application? Just the application that staff have to fill out does require staff to tie their project funding to the library strategic plan. They do have to identify what the outcomes of their program will be and what the impact on the community will be. And then there's a follow-up at the end of the year, reporting out how well we did in achieving those.
And so this year, the application has been changed slightly because of the work that the Foundation and Friends are doing with the consultant Lisa Christian, which also some library staff are doing to help us present the best request that we can to the foundation that does relate to our strategic planning. So this year, there's a little bit slightly different process that Diana Peck has asked us to do. So there's a new request form. So again, I'll give the example of the library van, that would have been a new request. And then there's a continuing form, so for example, programs perhaps that we do every year, but do need funding, then staff have been asked to fill out that form, so. Makes sense.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sure. No, I think that's.
Okay, that was really fun.
Glad that you did that.
So glad, really are so glad that you did. Okay, so I think let's move on then to the payment of library vouchers. And Mary, if you have that exact amount, would you make the motion, please?
She doesn't have it, I do.
She does.
I mean, if Vicky wants to do it, she.
Yeah,
reviewed the
Vicky, do you wanna-
vouchers. Do you wanna make that motion?
Yeah, Stella and I worked quite a bit yesterday to get these cleared up. And I move now to approve the payment of library vouchers in the amount of $69,344.72.
Mary Lee,
I
would you like a second?
Yeah.
Okay, Vicky or Stella, any discussion or anything you want to flag about any irregularities or just run of the mill?
I will say we did submit or are submitting another payment to the Wyoming State Library. This one is strictly for books.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the amount off the top of my head.
15,000.
It's
15,000, yeah.
Okay, well then, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Hi,
none opposed. Thank you. Kip, it is your turn.
Sure. A lot of stuff in the report we've already covered, the Yellowstone, Teton Clean Cities. An ongoing project that is just sort of getting underway at the library is making our adult collections more accessible to patrons. Right now, we're on, I don't know, 6-7 foot tall shelving, and the top shelf is not very accessible to anyone, even tall people can have difficulty. So in trying to make the collection more accessible, we're eliminating the top shelf throughout the collection. And so staff have started shifting, weeding, and everything. So right now, if you walk through the stacks, you'll see a lot of shelves devoted strictly to face out displays and such. And some shelves maybe only 50% full. So shelves will be a little fuller, less face out.
But some of the collection is being weeded in the process, did you say?
Yes.
And will the physical top shelf be coming off or
Yes.
just the books on the shelf?
The
Because
physical-
I think you said it'll affect. the
It'll
lighting.
affect the lighting, it being a little less cave-like, I guess. That's underway. Youth Services Manager position. We'll also talk about later, but is still under review with HR. When you start looking at one job description specifically, you see it's linked to others. And so trying to work with HR and the county's consultant to help develop some career ladders for staff that may be missing right now. Right now, it's kind of hard for somebody to go from you hit a wall, I guess, in the library, and we want to try and create opportunities for staff to be able to advance all the way up to, they can have my job anytime they want. And a couple of things that were additions to my report was, I included a copy of the annual report that the library has to complete for the state library, which then goes to IMLS, and I never remember.
Institute of Museum and Library Services.
That's it. Federal reporting. They're very far behind. This report is for FY 24. We're now through half of FY 25. So, you've seen all of this in some form or another, and that's just the annual report that did get submitted. And then Stella talked about some of the work that the foundation's been doing with Lisa Christian on the impacts and outcomes. And we have started that work as well. We have a group of about 10 staff who have been working with Lisa. And in the next week or so, we've identified a smaller subset of that group to work more in depth with Lisa, and we'll sort of be the library and foundation guinea pigs for the next year, to make sure that the process is working and that the work is, well, that we're aligned with the foundation and they're aligned with us, and that the process isn't too onerous for staff, because we don't want to make their job harder than it needs to be. So we'll have a few people testing it out for us for the next year. And Lisa provided some slides that are in your
The other
packet to
Lisa.
look at, to just sort of understand what we're working on. And I think that's everything from my report. Any questions?
I feel like I don't know enough about the foundation and what they do, and I'm not sure what our role as board members is to know what the foundation does. But Diana, can you hear me?
Yes,
Is
I can
the
hear you.
Is the foundation strategic plan on the website?
No, actually, we are in the process of building a new website. So it is not on there. But I'm happy to email you our current copy.
You probably have, and I probably have it, but if I'll look, and if I can't find it, I will ask you for it.
And I'm happy, I mean, if it's my turn, I'm happy to just add on to what Kip's talking about.
I think the foundation's mission statement is really very clear as to
Yeah.
what their role is, and Diana, I know, has that ready to roll off the
And
tip
I
of her
read
tongue.
that, before the meeting. Yeah, I know what that is. I think I'm just interested in some of the more details about how that is accomplished. And I just keep feeling like I don't understand it well enough, so, I'll work on it.
And can I just say, I am a tiny bit time crunched this morning, like maybe hard stop for me, at least at 11:15. So if you don't mind, maybe putting a pin in that,
Yeah,
because I think that's a really.
and I can talk to you, Diane,
Yeah,
and
I mean, it might be good for us to do it in a meeting
Yes.
so that
exactly.
the whole board can hear, and that the public, should they choose to watch a recording, would understand as well.
Okay.
So maybe in May, maybe we can have it on the agenda, Diana?
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
great idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Kip, anything else you want to highlight?
That's it for me,
Okay, great.
since we're on a time crunch.
I'm sorry.
No, I understand.
It's great. I love all the extra. Diana,
Yes. Lisa,
Would
tell
you-
me about how long you hope that I keep this to, about 5 minutes? Is that best?
oh, what was your hope?
Well,
I don't.
I wanted to share a little bit about what Kip's talking about, the new funding request process, and really the work that we're doing around impact and outcome. I think that I think that not everyone truly understands what we're talking about when we talk about this. I wanted to just give a little bit of insight about what that is. And typically in the past, and I'll tell you kind of the impetus for this, is that Kip and I have talked about this many times, that the Foundation and Friends kind of historically was, we exist to support the library. And so it was very much a follow, like the library says, this is what they need from us in terms of funding. for specific programs and projects. It was granted. And so what we've talked about in the last year or so is how can we be more effective in two areas. Number one is how can we tell a better story about what programs we support and why. And the second is how can we become better stewards of the funding that we're provided by our donors, right? And so there's an accountability piece that I think is really important to our board to feel like we've done our job in those two areas. And so in working with Lisa Christian, we're talking about how we can look at library programs in terms of the impact that they have on the community. And the easiest way I can describe this to you is when we think about outcome, it's a lot like what Callie was sharing with you is the numbers of participants, right? The numbers of folks who attend programs, participate, make reservations for equipment, etc. And when we talk about impact, we're talking about what is the effect that this program has on our community, or what changed or occurred because somebody attended this program. The quickest and easiest example I want to share that's been so eye-opening for us and really meaningful is with the Brainstorm Speaker Series. We know that that's an incredibly valued program and very popular program. Every ticket is reserved at the center. There's a wait list to get in. People have to live stream it because all the tickets get taken. And so we can estimate that about 2,000 people last year participated in that program. And we can talk about how much wonderful feedback we received. People are just really excited about it, and it's a very popular program. And when you think about that statement, it feels just a slightly bit vague. And so we said, well, how can we find out the effect, the impact? So we asked attendees to share with us just two things. Number one, what did they hear at that talk that really resonated with them? Just because if the intent of the program is to ignite curiosity and critical thinking, how do we gauge if critical thinking and curiosity were ignited, right? And so if that's the intent, we asked folks what resonated with you, what sparked in your brain after hearing the talk. The second thing is, if we're gauging what effect it had, what change might have occurred, we asked folks, tell us what actions or conversations you feel inspired to pursue going forward and why. And we received about 60 plus responses to the survey after the last Anna Lemke talk. And it was absolutely just inspiring to read how folks talked about learning more about neurology, learning about addiction, learning about the impacts of digital addiction or digital media consumption on the brain. It was fascinating to see all the different areas that resonated with folks and what they learned. And the second thing is, what's going to change going forward. Folks were talking about eliminating social media apps from their phone, talking with their family about limiting hours, removing the phone from the bedrooms, quitting sugar for 30 days and managing addictions, maybe advocating with the school district for eliminating cell phones in the K-8 schools. So there was all this action you can see, or this momentum from that event that created real change or real impact for the community. And so that's all we're asking of staff is, as you apply for funding, tell us what your goals are for this program, and then what do you hope the actual impact, like what do you hope the effect of having this program is going to be on the community? And I think that's just really more compelling than, numbers are fantastic. And this additional piece of impact, just really demonstrating the impact is really, really compelling when donors are giving to your organization. And so that's just all I wanted to add about that. And then any questions? I'm almost done.
No, you're great. Keep going.
Okay. So that's the piece about impact that we're really excited about. The other thing the foundation is doing right now is we're getting ready for National Library Week. So as champions of the library, we're working with Diana Eden on some really fun campaigns to bring awareness and appreciation to the library. Similarly to last year, we're going to send out an email inviting your board, to join us at the BOCC meeting. I know last year, Vicki, I think you were there, and Meryl Lee was there. I think Lisa, were you there as well? I think you were.
County commission meeting last year?
I think it
Yeah,
was,
right.
I think
I
it
was
was,
there.
oh, was it? I know Stella and Diane
Yeah.
were there.
Yeah, Stella was there too. And we just we shared a proclamation in support of libraries with the board, and they adopted the resolution and then verbally expressed their support for Teton County Library. And so we had during the entire week of National Library Week, which is the week everyone returns from spring break. So look for that, April 6th through the 12th. We have just a number of really fun things we're doing. An outreach campaign, a special day at the library, a library workers appreciation luncheon for all the staff, just a number of things. And you'll be hearing more about that soon because we're going to be sending out emails and some social media posts and some ads in the news and guide to really bring attention to all the things that we're doing. And Diana Eden has some amazing things planned with a staff recognition. And then we have an outreach day or a Take Action for Libraries Day where we're going to have folks come in to the recording studio and share maybe an impact story about how the library impacted them, or donors share why they give, volunteers might share why they support. And we're going to create a compilation of testimony about just the wonderful things that the library does for the community.
Can I
I
just
think
say
that's it for me for
something?
now. I wanted to keep it
Great.
simple because I know you guys are a bit on a time crunch. Yes.
I just want to say, I talked with Stella and Diana yesterday, and I'm going to learn how to run that camcorder for Library Week.
Great.
So we are going to have some board involvement with that.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thanks, Vicki.
Thank
And
you.
Mary Lee, I do need to apologize. I think, you know where I dropped the ball here is whenever a new board member joined the library board, it was typically our practice to hold an orientation. I remember doing orientation with Stan, with Lisa, and I don't believe I've done one with Vicki and Mary Lee. So I think it would be really wonderful if we can schedule maybe 45 minutes to an hour together to do an orientation together. I would love to do that. So we'll talk about that going forward, but
I think we always postpone like, oh, we're gonna get it, maybe a new board member, in the next, months. So maybe wait until then, and I think we keep doing that, like, oh, but, you know.
yes.
But, yeah, so yeah, let's keep, let's think about that for a good time. I think that's a great idea.
I'll follow up with an email to both of you and we can do it together if we want to be more efficient for you with your time. Happy to do it together, whatever you want to do. I'll just follow up with an email.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Diana.
much. All right, moving on to the cleaning contract.
Talk about exciting.
Yeah.
I know.
It's so important.
Clean bathrooms are
Right.
important.
Yes.
You saw the staff report from Rick. Premier Green Cleaning has been doing a good job for the last 2 years. We have the option to renew for an additional 2 years, which is in checking in the past with Keith Gingrey, that's his preferred pathway. If they're doing a good job, we should probably renew a second time. It makes everybody's life easier. So that is what we are recommending. There's no cost increase for the next 2 years, which is kind of shocking. So yeah, we can make this really easy.
I'm happy to make a motion about this, if we feel like we're ready for a motion.
That would be great.
I move that the board approved extension of the independent contractor agreement with Premier Green Cleaning for cleaning services at Jackson Main Branch Library through June 30th, 2027 in the amount of $117,615.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Vicki. Any discussion?
I do have one question.
Sure.
This says the main branch library. Does Premier also clean over at Alta?
They are the current contract holder for Alta. It's a different contract.
Okay, thanks.
And I should slight correction, it should say $117,615 per year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Per year. All right, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
I,
Did we lose Stan?
Oh, I think so.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
well, 3 is still a quorum.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Library space planning.
I think we were probably supposed to be a little more prepared for this. I think. Yes, probably we should punt it. I think,
Give it the time.
Well, I'm glad
Well-
we got it, but it does seem like kind of step one.
yes, and there's some dollar amounts missing. I think Peg, having been part of the group, probably should be here for this.
Yeah.
I think what you see on that list is probably what we do want to look at. I think we want to replace carpeting throughout the building. I think we want to do painting. This divider in the Ordway is problematic. So I think those are some of the things that we definitely want to do. The foundation, and Diane and I talked yesterday briefly about furniture. We've sort of identified that furniture is an enhancement, and they have that on their radar. So we will be looking at what that may look like in the next fiscal year. Furniture, according to EUA, was about $1.2 million. The foundation needs to decide if they want to do fundraising or tap into unused resources that they have access to that would cover that cost. So, but I think those are kind of the things we want to do, and probably the teen area in the biography area. But I think we need to be a little more prepared.
Fair.
And
thank you.
it's easier if everybody's probably here in the room and able to talk about it.
And just to add one thing on the document that you have where there's blanks with costs. For example, some of the painting, carpet replacement. The reason those are blanks is that even though we have those budgeted for in our capital reserves, and I'm looking at our big spreadsheet. For example, painting will say Alta, it doesn't, it's one lump sum, so I didn't know what those individual breakouts are, even though we have it accounted for, budgeted for, it's just we haven't broken that down within our capital reserves, so I didn't have those amounts.
I think this is a great first start or first step, and it's really what we asked for last month. So thank you. And yeah, let's keep talking about and fleshing it out. Maybe next month's voucher in May. Is
Yeah,
that what
in
you're
May.
thinking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have
Yeah.
one comment too, just, it actually came from I think it's your ED report where you put the comments that people leave at the library.
Yeah,
And there were two that caught my eye. One is from a friend of mine. He signed it Carson. I know who he is. And he has been talking to me about this from the minute I was appointed to the library board, because he has a problem with noise in the library. And he said, he just commented, it said the students and tutors are too noisy. And could they take their business to a meeting room? And then there's another comment this week that you, or this month, annoyed at study rooms all being booked. So I'm like, is it possible we could have like a quiet area in the library? So he could go there rather than making the tutors and students go somewhere like into their own rooms. So that was just,
some of the furniture ideas that
Uh-huh.
EUA looked at would be quieting furniture.
Okay.
I don't know that we'll have a quiet room specifically.
yeah,
That was never called out.
okay.
But furniture,
Maybe even if it was
Can
just a
be.
corner with a chair, you know,
Yeah.
or quiet zone or something like, just, I thought it could be such a simple solution for Carson.
And most libraries don't have the luxury of having, you know, an enclosed, quiet
No.
room or something, and it sort of just becomes, the messaging is that from 3:30 to 6:30 or whatever, when
Mhm.
kids are here, it's just gonna be noisy, so if you don't
Come at
like
a different
noise, you
time.
need to
I'll
come at a
tell-
different time.
Come at a different time.
I mean, that's,
I think that's reasonable. It's a public library. So like it needs to be useful for everybody,
Yeah.
but I hope Carson can find a quiet corner
yes.
to have a good.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
sure he like sits down and then somebody comes and sits next to him and they're noisy.
Yes,
And then,
and there are little corners right now where you could probably find a quieter spot.
okay,
Um,
I'll have a word with him.
Libraries have evolved. It used to be the librarian came around and said, shh, shh, shh. We don't have that anymore, and I like it. And I've always been able to find a quiet place if I really need it in our
And-
library.
The key is you should be able to find a quiet space if you need it, so.
And Diana has her hand up.
Oh, hi.
Thank you, Kip. My question is, really quickly on the space study, because we had our executive committee and finance committee meetings yesterday, and there was much interest around the space study topic. My last document is the alternative pricing proposal that you received from EUA. Is there a new current document? I hear you referring to a list that you've compiled of priority projects. Is that something different than what I have? Because I really don't know. We were trying to piece together in our exercise yesterday, where's the 1.2 million estimate? We saw furnishings as like 80,000 and then something else, line item of 250. So do you have a current list of, have you established your priority projects or just not quite yet?
We haven't prioritized the priority list.
Okay.
A list of ideas that we think we know we have some funding for and are easier to do. I can get you that document. It may
Okay.
be, I don't know if it's linked on the agenda or not.
It's not. Under the space study, it's not. There's not a link under the space study.
It was in our Teams folder.
Oh, I may have put this in late yesterday, actually. So I'll get it to you, Diana.
Okay, thank you.
Great. All right. Any other matters from the board members? Partners? Staff?
Lisa, did we vote on approving the minutes?
We did. Did you have
Okay.
an?
No,
Oh, okay.
I just don't remember saying anything.
Okay.
I did think of something that has been sort of Mary Lee's pet project, and I left it out of my monthly report, is that START is starting their 5-year planning process.
Starting.
And they have asked me or whoever can attend in my stead if necessary to be on the advisory board. They are kicking off that advisory board next week. And they will ask for our input periodically throughout their process. So I will be attending that first meeting next week.
Okay, should I go with you? Is it necessary? or-
I don't think so.
Okay,
It-
all right.
Unless you were invited to. You don't need to. I'll go,
Plus, I'm gonna be gone. I mean,
I'll keep you up to date.
okay, great.
And they've offered to pay everybody $50 per meeting or something.
Oh, nice.
I would reject that, so.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
but
think It's
good.
important for us to be there, so.
Good. Good news. Thank you.
Okay. Well, it looks like we might be ready for executive session.
We are, so I'll say goodbye to Diana.
Bye,
Goodbye,
Diana.
Diana, we'll be in touch, Diana.
I do need a motion to go into executive session.
Do that. I move to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter in accordance with Wyoming statute -405. Little a, little 2I. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. Do I have a second?
Second.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let me pause. Back. Okay,
Okay, welcome back. We are back from executive session and we're ready to have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move that we adjourn the March 13th board meeting of Teton County Library.
I second.
Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hey.
All right, thanks, everyone.